Up next on Veteran on the Move, Marine veteran Chris Hoffman is using his own story to inspire other veterans to seek a meaningful life outside of the military.
Welcome to Veteran on the Move. If you're a veteran in transition, an entrepreneur wannabe, or someone still stuck in that JOB trying to escape, this podcast is dedicated to your success. And now, your host, Joe Crane.
The top 7 paths to freedom is my free gift to you for listening to the show, featuring 7 great ways for a veteran to take their first step into the exciting world of entrepreneurship. To receive your free gift, go to veteranonthemove.com, or if you're listening on a mobile device, you can text the word veteran to 38470. Chris Hoffman is a U.S. Marine veteran turned coach, trainer, and entrepreneur. He uses his own story to inspire other veterans that seek to live a meaningful life outside of the military. He knows firsthand how hard it is to find your individuality, passion, and brotherhood sisterhood that you once held while serving. He is the CEO and founder of Vet Training and Coaching, where he seeks to equip veterans with the tools, insights, and support to have them live a passion-driven life. All right, Chris Hoffman, welcome to Veteran on the Move. Thanks for being here and sharing your story. And before we get to talking business and entrepreneurship, why don't you take us back a little ways and tell us what you did in the Marine Corps?
Yeah, Joe. So thanks for having me first and foremost, man. It's an honor to be here on Veteran on the Move, and I'm excited to share my story. So, yeah, I mean, getting right into it, kind of leading up to joining the Marine Corps back in 2008, I was a guy that was really just seeking masculinity. I was a guy that was born and raised in the Midwest, about a suburb about 30 minutes west of St. Louis, a small town called St. Charles, Missouri. And I was raised, father kind of left my life when I was about 1 year old. And, my life became about trying to prove my masculinity to the world. And that kind of led me through my adolescence years leading up to my teenage years to like, what does it mean to be a man? And that's whenever, I got out of high school, I found my purpose and really a sense of work ethic and stuff like that through, playing baseball throughout my high school years. And I came into a crossroads when I was about 18, 19 years old, where, it was, either chasing my dream as a professional baseball player where I had an option to play D2 baseball, or it was going into the Marine Corps where I could actually get out of my situation, and out of my small town and actually see the world a little bit. And that's whenever I made the decision that, academics really wasn't for me. And I sat down with a recruiter from the Marine Corps, and he was just like, well, you'll be able to play baseball whenever you're in. And that's whenever it was a done game. And I actually chose to pursue the path of United States Marine, and that's whenever I got started with that.
I have to ask, did you ever play baseball in the Marine Corps?
I didn't pick up a baseball actually until I was on deployment in Afghanistan. I got to play catch for a total of about 5 minutes with a friend of mine out there, but no, didn't play much baseball when I was in.
Yeah, that's what I figured. All right, so tell us what you had some interesting experiences when you got in the Marine Corps also.
Totally. So yeah, whenever I got in, I was there's a few key points in my career inside the Marine Corps. One was definitely about a year and a half in. I got to get my job that I wanted. A country boy from the Midwest, I wanted to drive big trucks in the Marine Corps, so I got to do motor T operator inside the Marine Corps and drive the big trucks. And about right in the middle of my MOS school back in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, that was about 2 hours away from my hometown, which is trouble waiting to happen.
Yep.
I actually we had a 3-day Liberty weekend, and I actually my family came, picked us up, me and a few of my good friends, and in the MOS school with me, and we actually went home for a 3-day weekend back to my hometown. And in that experience back home, we lived it up, and I showed them around St. Louis a little bit, and last night we were there, I actually wound up getting a DUI while I was home on liberty. And this was at a point, Joe, where I was actually the guide for our class. I was on the verge of becoming meritorious promoted PFC right out of MLS school, going into the fleet with good momentum. And then, like it all came crashing down immediately. And then I came back and I've always prided myself into being a man of integrity. And I came back and, voluntarily told my gunny and all that. And I wind up getting dropped and reclassed to a new job and non-ranked to a private for a year, and got reclassed to a combat cook. And I went from Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, doing my dream job in the Marine Corps to becoming a combat cook and being sent out to Fort Lee, Virginia. But what that experience taught me, Joe, was that really, we think that, the process has to look a certain way, but it never goes the way we envision it. It always goes the way it's supposed to.
Right.
And in that point, after I got out of Fort Lee, Virginia, became a combat cook, learning a trade that I never thought I would ever learn in my life. I actually went to my first duty station in Okinawa, Japan, where I spent about a year and a half with a headquarters company out there, and was steaming and burning and serving 700 plus Marines a day, and just was being totally what Marines do in Japan. But the second biggest turning point of my Marine Corps career was whenever I deployed to Afghanistan my third year. See, I was a guy that was always looking, like I said, to seek masculinity. I always wanted to be the best I could be in anything that I did. And when I was actually sent out to Afghanistan in late 2009, early 2010, I got the opportunity to be attached to the military police, the MP's company out there, and I actually got to do what Marines get to do, and that's doing quick reaction force. And I got to man a 240 Bravo for about 6 months out of the 7 months I was out there. And
awesome.
during
every Marine a rifleman, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say. And it was really, that experience had me really cap off my Marine Corps experience. And in that 6 months, I met a sergeant that led me. That he was just a guy that literally took me under his wing and mentored me and fathered me for about 6 months, and really started throwing success mindset, entrepreneurial books towards my way. And he was really the person that had me start switching gears and had me start really thinking bigger. See, I was a guy that was always thinking I would never live past 24, 25 years old, especially join the Marine Corps. And when it came to 24, 25 years old, and I saw that, this life is a little bit bigger and I'm going to be here a little bit longer. He started having me see not just in the moment and how we can enjoy life. He started having me see kind of long-term vision stuff, and had me start filling my mind with success books, entrepreneur books. One in particular that really had me start realizing that, we're not fated life. We can create a life of our dreams, was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And, once I came back from deployment, at the end of those 7 months, I had about a year left in the Marine Corps. And that's whenever I decided to get out and kind of chase my dreams and create something brand new for myself. So it was a fun journey.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome that you had at a young age, you had a sergeant that was throwing entrepreneurial and personal development type, big thinking type books. I mean, there's no greater place to learn motivation and leadership in the Marine Corps, but oftentimes it doesn't include entrepreneurship or personal motivation type stuff. It includes a Marine Corps version of that stuff. Totally. I didn't discover a lot of that stuff until way later in life, and it didn't come to me via the Marine Corps, even though the Marine Corps gave me so much as far as leadership and maturity and development. But so we talk about your transition out of the Marine Corps and what you ended up doing right out of the gate, and eventually how you got into your entrepreneurial ventures.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, during my transition, it was good because I, about 6 months out, started getting my ducks in a row. A lot of my higher ups about 6 months out was you got to be a Marine to the end of your time, and I was kind of just well, I got to start getting myself set up for getting out. And that's kind of what I did, is I started getting into what I call a resourceful state, where I just started really, reaching out to every resource I could find to really get myself set up. And one of those resources that I found was a resume expert out of Texas, Right Foot Resume, who's actually partnered up with us now, helping a lot of veterans brand themselves on paper. Is like, I reached out to him. He designed a perfect resume for me. I actually went to a lot of unemployment, connected with the unemployment department, got some really good resources from them. And through that process, the day after I was actually honorably discharged from the Marine Corps in 2012, I was walking into my first job, which was a sales job for a household name commercial gym out here in the United States. And like, the beginning part of that process was really, really hard for me, because I was a very genuine guy, especially being from the Midwest. I was very personable, but I really had a hard time really connecting with people, really effectively communicating, because I don't know if you experienced this, Joe, but like when
we all experience it.
Yeah, when you're in the military, you have a different lingo. You talk more direct. It's more so just get stuff done. Let's make it happen. Let's not waste time. And let's get things done and be effective. And it was definitely a shift. And that was that was probably the biggest challenge for me. But I mean, within a year of working actually at this gym, through just continuing to dive into, just reading books and just constantly trying to master my craft, which is at that point sales, I became, out of 250 gyms nationwide, I actually was the top 3 guy 3 months in a row. Towards the end of my career there, and bringing in sales, I was bringing in close to around $10,000 of revenue just in personal training and memberships alone for the company. And kind of what got me to a point where I was just like, yeah, this isn't really for me. Is just like, I was bringing them more and more money every single month, and my paycheck still looked the same. So I wasn't getting commissions. So, after that, I kind of started looking at doing my own thing. And I got into starting my own personal training company, which, just talking to a lot of my buddies that were personal trainers, he's like, man, something that would be really cool is if you got out and you did, you started contracting out of like apartment complexes that already had gyms, and, just made it easier for people to leap out of their bed and just, have you right there for them. And I did that for about a year, did a lot of guerrilla marketing, and, just went at it and gained a lot of good experience, and made some good money, got some good experience through that. And then through that time, through the first year, 2 years of getting out, I was having a lot of just intense anxiety, I would say, a lot of panic attacks, almost a couple times a week, if not once a day. So I was actually going through therapy, doing a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy. That actually helped me out a lot, learning to rationalize my racing thoughts that were happening in my mind, because I was one of those guys that I had to be doing something all the time. And CBT really helped me challenge my thoughts and have me catch my thinking errors, and really have me challenge my thoughts and really understand that my thoughts really were not me. They were actually just thoughts. And if I could just be conscious of them going through my mind and capture and kind of just grasp, oh, yeah, that's just a thought. That isn't actually who I am. Then I can have freedom to act and be more effective and be present in the moment. So that's actually whenever I started, really diving deeper into my own personal growth and development. And I found a company called Landmark Worldwide, where now I'm actually one of the leaders there that leads quarterly talks to veterans and stuff like that. And I went through their whole curriculum for living. And pretty much their slogan is, if you go through their curriculum for living, then you'll be living a life that you love. And, through that, I realized that my life was driven off, it was really driven off superficiality of actually empowering people, and as far as getting their physique where it wanted to be and stuff like that. And I was really good at it, because I was always one of the guys that was, always constantly mastering my craft. I was always really good at being self-taught and being resourceful. I was finding resources if I didn't have them, or reading a book to master a craft. But I mean, what it taught me is like, really what I was here to do was to actually get down into human development intrinsically and really understand what makes us tick on a daily basis, psychological. And it had me understand that, everything begins and ends in the mind. And, if your mind is not conditioned, in a certain way, it's either going to work for you or work against you. And that's whenever I wind up walking away from that personal training business where I was making close to six figures. And also I was working 60 hours a week because the business lived and died off my efforts. And I actually went and started studying psychology and utilizing my GI Bill, and just continued to use the extra capital to continue to dive in and go into a lot of entrepreneurial seminars and just do a lot of reach out to the resources that they don't teach us in school, and get around big minds that outthought me so I could grow into that mindset.
Wow, that's good stuff, man. Hey, hold on there, Chris. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Have you joined the Veteran on the Move Facebook group? I personally invite every guest that I have on the podcast to join the group. So the Veteran on the Move Facebook group is a great way to connect with previous podcast guests. Our Facebook group will keep you in touch with other veterans that are transitioning to entrepreneurship, and you will also get great updates and free guides on the people, programs, and resources that will help you in your transition to entrepreneurship. All right, we're back talking with Chris Hoffman, Marine veteran. So, Chris, you've been through a lot of growing up, and you also had some combat experience in Afghanistan and plenty of ups and downs during your time in the Marine Corps, and you've learned a lot from it, and you've come out on the other side. So, after you've realized all of these things within yourself, you've kind of related that to a lot of other veterans and the things that they're struggling with. So you've gotten into training and coaching. So tell us about vet training and coaching and what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. So vet training and coaching, and just in a quick summary, is like really what we're out to do is we're out to help ambitious veterans that are out there just in the middle of their transition or thinking about transitioning, give them the tools and the advice, the coaching, and the programs and services to help them get out and actually really execute on what matters most to them. And if they don't know what matters most to them, help them discover what that is. Really what had me come up to that idea to get this company launched is actually an event that I attended last year in LA. It was a company called New Peaks. It was a program called Life Directions, and it kind of came up in the middle of it when the trainer got up in front of the room, and he was just like, you'll find that whenever you're aligned with your authentic skill sets in your life, you'll just kind of flow with the current of life versus against it. And throughout that program, at the end of it, I realized that I am here to really empower and coach and really ambitious transitioning vets to gain the tools, techniques, and resources to gain their clarity and confidence to really live a passion-driven life. And that's really what we're grounded in. And what we're doing right now is we're set to launch February 1st. And right now what we're doing is I'm partnered up with Dr. Golden, who's the founder of Val Assessment and the Personality Profile down in Florida. Also, another founder of Blue Reel Strategies, where I'm using a lot of her techniques, which is just really grounded in interpersonal communication and positive psychology, and just helping them not only discover their core values in their life, but also just their the biggest needs that we've been finding in just our market research is like having veterans be able to discover not only their individuality, what drives them, their core values, but also their finding meaningful work and a meaningful life outside of the military. Because let's face it, these guys, these men and women are out there, in the military that are, serving our country. And whenever they get out, they're having to start from scratch if they don't have a college degree, and they're feeling like a private in the civilian sector. So helping them refine meaningful work and create routines and habits and action items around those to have them live a high-performing civilian life. And then the third phase we're really focusing in is the personal branding, helping them brand themselves on paper and also off of it. So that at the end of our program that we're going to be launching February 1st is that, they really have a foundation to really be high executors in their life and have a sense of how to actually, communicate their value and, live high-performing civilian life.
And so how exactly do you go about doing that? You just start them on it. You have a predefined coaching type program?
Totally. So right now we have we're running a case study with two pro bono clients right now. And they're both about 2 months into the program. And what's really cool is that, like I said, it's a 3-month program. It's the program is called Warrior to Passion Driven, and it's a 3-phase program, 3-month, 12-week program to really help them to set the foundation to live a passion-driven life. And first phase is really just to help them, really get down to the core values and realize that like their values are really the thing that drives their behavior. And how I tell every veteran is like, when you first get out, you definitely want to focus on the core values of what the military taught you. But once you start discovering your own personal experiences and you start regaining your own philosophy on life, that's when you can actually start discovering what your core values are. So helping them align those, and then once they discover their core values and situational awarenesses, also their core values, and even like some of the underlining deeper core values, then we can actually have them see how they react in conflict situations, decision making, and stuff like that. So they start developing independent thought. And our second phase is once they discover their values, the things that drive them on a daily basis, then we start developing routines and habits around those, and start having them, really start setting goals, how to structure time management, and all that. Because you know better than anybody, Joe, and in the military, it was a highly structured life. Yes. And when we don't have structures in our life, we have this feeling of like, freaking out. So we're really showing them how to create productive habits outside of the military. And then the third phase, which would be the last month of the program, which is where these guys are actually about to, start actually this week, is actually their personal branding. So I'm partnered up with a guy out of Texas. His right foot resume, he's actually traveled the United States as a career coach and brander, and he actually writes up a resume for them, sets up a consultation with them, gets to really know these guys, what their awards were in the military, and actually has them be able to actually communicate their value from before the military and even during it onto a piece of paper. And then from there, I actually worked with them for the last 3 weeks on actually personal branding them, and even helping them get out there and do motivational interviews and stuff like that to really get an idea of what companies are looking for and seeing if they're the best match for them.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, it sounds like a great program, and even focusing in on the resume, integrating that with the rest of the program sounds awesome. So, like if you go back a little ways, you definitely into the entrepreneur. You become an entrepreneur at this point. Going back years ago, did you ever view yourself were you entrepreneurial as a kid, or is this something that came along later in life?
Yeah, that's awesome. So when I was a kid, like I said, like growing up without a father's tough, right? Like we don't have anybody there to really show us, what it is to be a man. So I mean, I was raised off a mother with very feminine values, right? So when I was a kid, like my mom was always trying to make things happen. She had 3 jobs, from when I could remember. She was always trying to make it work for us. And I remember when I was 12 years old, I actually started a mobile lawn mowing company, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I actually had two close friends of mine, 12 years old. We would walk around, go door to door, and actually knock on people's doors and say, "Hey, $10, we'll mow your lawn." And we actually, over a summer, we made a lot of money. Well, to us, it was a lot of money, but started there. And throughout my life, I've always just found weird ways and was always resourceful to find ways to like just really make things happen.
Yeah, so it does go way back.
It does.
You didn't know you were an entrepreneur as a kid, but you really were.
Yeah.
Well, so you've been through a lot, and you've made it to this point. If you're talking to those folks that are listening about if they're still in and they're getting close to going through their transition out of the military, and they don't really want to go get that regular job, they really want to go into the world of entrepreneurship. What kind of advice would you have for them?
I would just tell them, I would say, don't be afraid to fail. Fail your way forward. Utilize the basic skills that you were able to develop with the military. Live off their core values until you gain enough personal experience to gain your own philosophy, as I said before, and then just take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way. And don't burn any bridges. Always continue to focus on building relationships and adding value to those relationships on a consistent basis. And then overall, one of my favorite quotes by Rumi is just hold the vision and trust the process, because life always works out for your better good.
Hold the vision and trust the process. I love that saying. I'm going to write that down. Yeah. That's so true. I mean, we focus on establishing that vision. And entrepreneurship really is a process. And that's why that works well into what you said in the very beginning was, don't be afraid to fail. Yeah. Because every failure you have in this entrepreneurial game, you've executed the entrepreneurial process. And so each time you get better and better at the process and faster and faster. And a lot of times you can run something through the entrepreneurial process and you've done everything right. It's going to be a fail. It's not even under your control, because it's just not going to, people aren't going to buy it. It's not going to happen. But at least if you know the entrepreneurial process, you just go on to the next idea and run that one right through again.
Totally.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I do want to give you the last word here as we get close to the end of our time. So if we want to look up or get involved in vet training and coaching, and you've mentioned a couple other good organizations, how do we get a hold of you? And we find you on your website, send you an email. How do we contact you?
Yeah, totally, Joe. So if you guys are wanting to get connected with me and what we're doing, creating really a community to support each and every one of you guys that are ambitious out there and want to really create something special after the military, you can reach us at our Facebook group. It's called Veteran Empowerment Transition. Again, that's Veteran Empowerment Transition. Right there, we're really creating a big community of ambitious veterans and just supporting each other with resources, advice. And just really, it's a think tank for big thinkers that are veterans to come together and support each other. So that would be the best way. Also, the website would be vettrainingandcoaching.com if you guys want to subscribe and get weekly newsletters to just have you guys gain more tool sets to really just live a passion-driven life. Them both would be the best way to connect, Joe.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for sharing your story and your success story and your entrepreneurial story. And we look forward to seeing your success here in the near future and beyond.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Joe.
You bet. Hey, these two Marines are Oscar Mike. As you can tell from listening to the Veteran on the Move podcast, interviews are a great way to tell your story and spread the word about your business. If you would like to get booked as a podcast guest, I recommend Interview Valet. You can check out Interview Valet at veteranonthemove.com/valet. Be sure to check out Thrive15.com, the world's premier online education platform that helps entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and intrapreneurs learn how to start or grow a successful business. Start your free 30-day membership by going to Thrive15.com and use the promo code VETERAN. Thank you for listening to Veteran on the Move, your pathfinder to freedom. If you like the show, leave us a review on iTunes. Reviews are always greatly appreciated. So until next time, this veteran is Oscar Mike.